All right, guys, week 1 is in the books for NFL fantasy football. In this video, we're going to be talking about the top prospects to pick up off waiver wire for NFL week 1, heading into NFL week 2. Jim, I'm super excited to dive into this show, man. You've got the list ready. We're ready to talk about some highs and lows from the week 1. Man, what a crazy week.
It was a crazy week 1, a little disappointing on the offensive side of the ball. There was a lot of stout defenses that were playing this week. I think we're going to see improvement from the offense in general going forward. But, you know, it's week 1 jitters. It's people not being ready for the season, you know, or just getting back into game mode. But I do anticipate there's going to be better offensive performances than what happened this past week.
For sure. Some craziness. I got a Studs and Sucks video coming out later today, so make sure you guys tune into that as well. Turn on the bell, subscribe, and the show is brought to you by Manscaped.com, guys. I got the beautiful Lawnmower 4.0 in my hand. I've got the brand new beard trimmer, amazing beard trimmer, guys. Go treat yourself to anything on the site. Use code SHOWERLINE20. They've also got super comfortable underwear. And again, I use the lawnmower to trim my bush whenever I need to. Jim, have you gotten the lawnmower yet? We got to get you set up with one of these. So you
should, yeah, definitely send me one. I'll take it. It looks like you trimmed your beard there. It's looking all groomed.
It is groomed. I just got to stay on top. This is a couple days, but yeah, I'm using the lawnmower beard trimmer. It's amazing, guys. So go treat yourself to anything on the site. They got cologne, they got underwear, they got everything, guys, to treat yourself. Manscaped.com. SHOWERLINE20 is the code you want to use to save on anything on the site. All right, Jim, let's dive into this, man. We'll go through every position and give you some viable pickups. Now, we'll also talk a little bit about, can they be a 1-week wonder, or are they going to be good throughout the entire season? That's something we're going to talk about right here. So why don't we start off with the quarterback position? Some people may have had a bad quarterback play for them, like Joe Burrow. What did Joe Burrow do? How bad, man?
He's got like 5 points. I mean, let's just say, do you think Cincinnati might have a little bit of buyer's remorse today?
Listen to this. Joe Burrow finishing 28th amongst quarterbacks. Now, again, when people were saying they're drafting Joe Burrow, I had my question marks, but it wasn't so much a lack of performance. It was more like, is he going to be injured? Like, he's had these lingering injuries. So I personally faded him based on that, which I'm glad I did. But again, man, just a terrible game, like 0 touchdown thrown, 3.18 fantasy was 28th, right? Amongst quarterbacks. That's terrible. So maybe people are like, okay, well, I need a good quarterback. And 2 guys we were talking about as backup quarterbacks with major upside. Now, I didn't think Jordan Love had major upside, but I thought he'd be relatively efficient. And I have him in a 2-quarterback league. But, when I look at Jordan Love, I'm like, okay, Christian Watson's out. Dobbs was a little banged up. The guy still performed, finished 3rd amongst quarterbacks, 23 points, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I knew he'd be efficient, and he proved it in week 1. So if he's on the waivers, man, he's my first pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of super disappointing performances among top tier quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson had a crappy week. Jalen Hurts had a crappy week. It was just very poor scoring all around. In fact, the top scoring quarterback as of all the Sunday games was Tua, and he only got 28 points. Last year, we were seeing, especially these rushing quarterbacks, get you like 35, 40 points a week. So a very disappointing week for quarterbacks overall. But I got to say, man, and so my big surprise this week for a guy I wasn't expecting to do much, but he looked really good last night or yesterday. Mac Jones of New England put together an outstanding performance, 316 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, as well as 15 rushing yards. He was like the he was the QB like 4 on the week so far. Just an amazing performance. And that's a guy that you're going to be able to get up off the waiver wire if you need him. So
I got him finishing second. I have him second in fantasy points, 24.14. Again, this is not including the Monday night game.
That's amazing. I mean, geez, that's crazy. And that was a bad weather game too. We're watching these bad weather games yesterday, and there was just such abysmal performances going around. And yet Mac Jones was able to perform in those kind of conditions. So good for him and good week. But that's a guy I'm definitely looking for on the waiver wire right now.
So quarterbacks, again, Mac Jones, if you need a backup, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson had a good game. Mind you, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Still put up a lot of points because he got it done, a little bit in
Got
the
got
rushing
done on the
touchdown.
ground. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But did you see that big hit he took at the end of the game?
I missed
Boy,
that.
man, he can't. He
Oh,
really
yeah, no,
got
I saw that.
clocked.
I saw
He
that,
got
yeah.
clocked, and it's like, dude, you can't, as a quarterback, you can't do that because you're not going to be able to hold up. um, but yeah, also Brock Purdy had a great
Yeah.
game. 220 pass yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 rush yards. Again, a guy that is probably available on the waiver in your league.
Yeah, and who would have thought, and this is what I was saying, I'm not sold on Justin Fields, right? I was just not sold on Justin Fields, and sure enough, he crapped the bed, right? He
Yeah,
finished
yeah. All,
16th
all
amongst
these
quarterbacks.
rushing quarterbacks did terrible. I mean, just awful.
Yeah,
So
and you would have thought, like, who would have thought that Baker Mayfield would have beat, Justin Fields? I did, because again, I wasn't sold. Again, this reassures what I was feeling about Justin Fields. I'm not sold that he's that good. I'm just not. I don't know what the hype is all about. The guy hasn't thrown past 2,300 yards. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but again, 1 week, I'm not going to put too much weight on 1 week, but it's kind of reassuring the feeling I had about Justin Fields. I thought he was too expensive. That's why I was personally fading him. So again, if you want waiver wire when it comes to quarterback this week, Jordan Love, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, viable options, all finishing top 10 at their respective position, which is pretty amazing. And again, if it's a deeper league, Sam Howell finished top 12. Jim, I don't know about how you feel about Sam Howell. He still threw a pick, one interception, but finished with 15.18 points. Nothing exciting, but if you are desperate, maybe Sam Howell. What do you think? You never know.
I'm not sure I'm sold on Sam Howell right now. Watching that game yesterday, it was like there was nothing special I was seeing from him. So I'm not super excited about what he might offer. I'd much more take a chance on these other guys we're talking about, Mac Jones or Jordan Love. I think
Yeah,
they
I'm
got a
gonna
higher ceiling.
I'm gonna have no Sam Howell on my team ever, but I'm saying in deeper leagues, some people are really desperate, right? They got two
Right.
quarterbacks, maybe one quarterback got banged up or just didn't perform. They need some depth. I mean, just to let you know, Sam Howell did finish top 12 amongst quarterbacks. Okay, just to let you know, in fantasy points week 1. All right, let's move on to who do we got here at the running back position? I got to tell you right out, the guy that jumped out at me is Joshua Kelly. Now, it seems, and this is what I want to talk about, this is very important. It seems it's a scary situation. It seems like the good old running back, the workhorse, is completely gone from what we're seeing. And we saw even Eckler get dipped into. Derrick Henry, only 15 attempts. This is the king, man. And then we saw Bijan and Algier, man. And we saw Gibbs and we saw Montgomery. Dude, it's a disaster right now. Committees everywhere. And Josh Kelly, man, with the new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, is a primary target. And I don't believe he's a 1 week wonder. He is going to get integrated. He will get worked. And I don't know if you saw, Eckler hobbled off a little bit. I'm sure he's fine. He came back in later, but he looked a little banged up on a play. It looked like his leg or something like that. And they started using Kelly a lot more anyway, even before that. So Josh Kelly's kind of my first pick at running back for waiver wire as a pickup this week. I like him.
Yeah, like I said, my threshold for running backs is if you can get at least 15 touches, chances are you're going to be fine for fantasy. You're going to get enough points to at least be flex value. And certainly what we saw from Josh Kelly yesterday, 16 attempts, 1 target. That's good enough for me, man. I would go ahead and get him. And that's impressive too, because no backup running back has been able to do anything on the Chargers for years. They've been, and yet Kelly was very effective. That was great to see. God, that was a great game. I don't know if you watched that game.
I watched that
game. Was a very exciting, fun game to watch. It was just thrilling. I think my top pickup is going to be based off the news that J.K. Dobbins has done for the season.
Right.
They need a running back in Baltimore. Well, next man up is Gus Edwards. And I think Gus Edwards is going to be a great pickup for going forward. Again, he only got 8 touches yesterday, but Dobbins went down mid-game. And then it looks like Gus Edwards split time with Justice Hill as well. Justice Hill is also very effective around the goal line, but I don't like to think about, the fact that he scored 2 touchdowns to sway me. For me, it's all about volume. So I'm going to go with Gus Edwards as being the next man up and should be able to hit that 15 touches a game threshold to make him fantasy relevant.
Yeah, I would say Justice Hill was the guy. I mean, look at him, 2 touchdowns around the goal line. But yeah, maybe Gus is the starter. But again, maybe this is that situation where they may be grabbing a Kareem Hunt or something if they have the budget for it off free agency.
Right.
Because I don't see that Gus and Justice Hill are a viable solution. Although, like I said, Justice Hill did get done around the goal line. And when you look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, a guy that I was questioning, should they pay him since we're talking Ravens? I mean, he didn't look that good. There's this one play, I don't know if you saw it, where he was running out and the ball was like way out and they punched it out. And he's like, oh, that was on me, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I saw that run. Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
yeah,
Yeah, and again, they paid him the big bucks, and he comes out and lays an egg. And we've been hearing all summer about the new look Ravens offense, and that was just
yeah.
going to be this total
No,
pass happy, crazy. And I'm like, A, Lamar's not going to be able to do that, and B, we saw it wasn't that great outside of Zay Flowers. Flowers was awesome yesterday. He was great. I'm very excited to see what that guy does going forward.
he looks
But
dynamic. Zay
yeah,
Flowers.
I was very much unimpressed with that offensive performance. We'll see if he gets better during the course of the season, but for all the hype that they had, I was not buying into it all summer, and it looked about as I expected it to look. So
Lamar Jackson finishing 25th amongst quarterbacks.
yeah,
No touchdowns, one interception, absolutely terrible. And this is
yeah.
a guy I said, do not draft, do not draft. Will he maintain this crappy performance? Possibly again, he and Justin Fields reassuring exactly what I was saying in the off season. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Okay.
Well, I'm sure that Mark Andrews not being there also affected the offense, but even so, it was pretty bad. It was because they were playing Houston. My God, come on, they were playing Houston, and they were getting. I mean, they won, of course, but on the field, man, it looked like Houston was outplaying them on defense. So I don't know, but
All right.
that's just me.
Sticking on
But
the task at hand, what other running backs are we acquiring here off waiver wire that some people may not have drafted that came out and said, oh, I might be a viable flex option. Who else do we have here?
I would look at Kieran Williams of the Los Angeles Rams. He was very effective yesterday, 15 attempts plus 2 targets, which is very exciting. And again, this is a guy that's going to be available on most waivers, so most waiver wire. So go see if he's available.
Yeah, maybe. But other than that, when I'm looking at this, I mean, everyone else who finished top 10 should have been drafted, other than Joshua Kelly, who finished 11th. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that might be available. Like I said, Justice Hill with the 2 touchdowns. That might be just a 1-week wonder type thing. And that's it. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's a drafted guy. So that's it. All those guys you might want to consider. I didn't see enough Sean Tucker. I think he only had like 5 attempts, didn't do much with it. But even like a guy like Rachaad White, who I said sucked, proved that he sucked. I mean, you had 6.9 fantasy points, 2.3 yards per carry. Rachaad White, man, that is terrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad. I mean, there was a lot of bad running back performances yesterday. One more name I want to mention also, Jerome Ford of the Cleveland Browns. He got 15 attempts yesterday as well. No
Fumbled,
targets though.
I think he fumbled.
What's that?
I think he fumbled.
He probably fumbled. But even so, like I said, 15 is my threshold for running backs, and all these guys hit it. So that means going forward, they should be fantasy viable as at least a flex start if you need them. So get them on your team.
And how about J.K. Dobbins? I called it, though. Like I said, I got to talk about that injury. And I said, years to wow us, we're not wowed. He can't stay healthy, stay away. Yet everybody was telling you, everybody was saying the same thing. Draft J.K. Dobbins as your RB1 after you got 0 RB and went wide receivers. And sure enough, he gets hurt right away, proving that he's brittle as glass, guys. It's evident now. There's red flags. There's writings on the walls about this guy. And again, he's proven it. So all you guys that have J.K. Dobbins, I told you so. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. I gotta state that, man. And again, it's probably not people that listen to us. They went robust RB. All right, wide receiver. Who are we considering picking up? Other than Kendrick Bourne, who just jumped out and finished 4th amongst wide receivers. That's insane. 24.4 points. Is that sustainable? And Jacoby Myers, I just think that these guys are a bit of a 1-week wonder type thing. I mean, who would have thought Jacoby Myers, and this happens every single year, where a guy that's a bottom feeder like Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne finished top 10, but it's just not sustainable. I just don't see it.
I don't know. I like what I saw out of the New England offense yesterday. They were very effective. They were pushing the ball down the field. So Kendrick Bourne, I think, is absolutely worth a pickup. 11 targets yesterday. And clearly the wide receiver 1 on this team, better than Juju Smith-Schuster. So, I would say go ahead and take a chance. I mean, again, if these guys don't work out, if it is a 1-week wonder, you can just dump them next week. But, I'm willing to say that what I saw out of New England was very impressive last night. And so, yeah, I think he's worth it. But my top pickup, I got to say, I mentioned this guy last week. I said, go check your waiver wire, see if this guy's on the waiver wire, and pick him up last week.
Yeah.
So if you didn't do it, that's on you, but he still might be there. Puka Nacua
Puka
of the
Nacua.
Los Angeles Rams, my favorite name to say in the NFL, 15 targets.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And I feel that his role is absolutely secure until Kupp comes back. Kupp's not coming back till at least week 5. So you got 3 more weeks with this guy, 3 more weeks with Puka. Get him on your team if you can get him, man. Holy cow. That was impressive. I was impressed with how he performed and how he looked out there.
It's amazing when you look at a guy like Puka Nacua, who had 15 targets, and your boy here, Chris Olave, your man, 10 targets, and he just finished after. He had a good game. 19.2 points was Chris Olave. Puka Nacua, 21.9. It goes to show you, man. And how about, who's this guy? Rashid Shaheed, New Orleans Saints, man. I mean, 19 points for him, but he got that one touchdown that really got him going. But Rashid Shaheed going into his second year now, kind of just came out of nowhere. Not a guy that I had on my radar at all, but I don't think that's sustainable at all.
Yeah, that's New Orleans, right? Is Rashid
Yeah,
in
yeah,
New
yeah.
Orleans? Yeah, he looked good, but I think he's just a 3 on that team. I mean,
Yes.
he's definitely behind both Olave and why am I drawing a blank on his name? I want to say
Michael
Mike Evans.
Thomas.
It's not
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. He's definitely behind those two on the pecking order. So, I mean, he got the touchdown. That's why he got the points. But again, I don't look at points. I'm looking at volume and Olave was fantastic. I knew he'd be fantastic. And man, if he starts getting some touchdowns, he's going to be nuclear, man. He's going to be a great, great pick. So let's hear some other names. Oh yeah, very surprising to see this, but Nico Collins of the Houston Texans, 11 targets for him. Congratulations, Nico. You look great out there. That was a tough matchup, a tough game, but you came out and you performed very well. So good for him.
Tank Dell takes a back seat, unfortunately, right now. That's what sucks.
Yeah. I mean, Tank Dell only got like 3 targets. I'm still holding on him. I'm just going to hold him on my bench, see what he does over the next few weeks before I make a determination if I'm going to keep him or not.
Yeah, very disappointing. I mean, even Robert Woods was getting more targets. It's not good. Not a good start for him at all, which is pretty disappointing. I wouldn't say drop him yet, but I would definitely, be a little concerned. But he's a bench guy anyway, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Also got to mention Rashee Rice. I mean, somebody's got to step up. Obviously, Kadarius Toney's not the solution. We talked about Rashee Rice maybe being picked up if you want to consider him. But again, I don't trust that offense at all. They're spreading the ball around way too much. I don't trust them.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Again, for me, Rashee Rice is a hold. I want to see what happens over the next few weeks. He was the only effective receiver in the game last week. So if he continues that path, he's going to start being utilized more by Mahomes. So, I'm willing to hold on and see what happens over the next few weeks.
Where's DJ Moore? I mean, Darnell Mooney finishing 19th, man. I mean, where did DJ Moore finish? I got to go back and look, but obviously a guy that said years to wow us, we're not wowed. And I saw him cause a penalty. He pushed a defender in the back. Like, it was a very dirty move. But Darnell Mooney looking like the one after week 1. But again, it's week 1, right? But again, all those people who drafted DJ Moore probably really, really upset right now for sure.
Well, it was just a bad game all around for Chicago. So, I'd be disappointed with any Chicago players at this point. But let's see here. I think
targets. 2 targets for DJ Moore, 2 receptions, 4.5 fantasy points compared to 15.3 that Mooney had. But again, it was because of that touchdown. That was
I got to say, man, the Green Bay defense was freaking really good yesterday. And so, wow. So I thought definitely Chicago was going to pull the upset at home. It did not happen, and that Green Bay defense, that's a defense I would look to maybe pick up because it appears that in the NFL the AFC went offense and the NFC is now going defense because the defensive performances out of these NFC teams was unbelievable. So
yeah, so let's talk about it. So Puka Nacua, Kendrick Bourne from New England, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, because again, 11 targets for Nico, 10 for Robert Woods, Tutu Atwell. I'm not sure if that's sustainable. He had 8 targets. And then your other guy you're recommending here, I saw your list, Josh Downs in Indianapolis, 7 targets. Is that sustainable? Possibly, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Josh Downs. He's a rookie, right? I believe he's a rookie. Coming out and getting 7 targets from his rookie quarterback. I mean, they might have established a really nice, solid connection during preseason. So that's good to see. But like I said, my threshold for wide receivers is about 7 targets per week. And so all these guys exceed that. So, I would look to try to get one or two of these guys. So,
All right, moving on to the tight end position here. Who are you picking up? Obviously, a lot of injuries at this position. Mark Andrews has been out. Kelsey's been out. A lot of people scrambling to get a tight end. Who really shined this week that we should consider picking up, Jim, that you like?
well, the volume on some of these players, man. Old man Zach Ertz came through this week, 10 targets for the Arizona Cardinals. That's not super surprising. This is a very bad team, and you've got this quarterback. They were saying the quarterback only joined the team like 2 weeks ago, so he doesn't even know like all the names of his players on the offense yet. But Zach Ertz getting 10 targets is good to see. As long as Ertz stays healthy, I think he can continue to be productive there. So that's definitely worth a pickup. Also, a guy we haven't heard about in a long time, Logan Thomas of Washington, got 8 targets, which is outstanding. Nice to see him back. So that's great. These guys overall weren't super effective with what they got, but with that kind of volume, I'm willing to take a chance on them that they can get a big catch, maybe a touchdown. That's a pretty decent amount of volume. So those are my top 2 picks. But there is one guy that I really want to talk about because I know this guy's going to be on everybody's waiver wire, but I think he's absolutely worth a pickup. Is Durham Smythe of the Miami Dolphins. Dude got 7 targets yesterday. Looked great. I mean, I was just like, who is this guy? How have we never heard this guy's name? But on this big play Miami offense, I was just like, I was going out of my head yesterday. It was so much fun to watch. But I think he's got the youth. And clearly he's a part of this offensive game plan. For him, I think he has the most upside of any of these tight ends we're going to be talking about here. So
Couple notes here. Samuel Laporta may be available in your leagues. I told you to draft him in all leagues. I started him in week 1, but people are going to be jumping on the waiver wire for him. Blake Bell, if Kelsey's injury continues, I mean, he was a top 7 tight end this week. Only 9.2 points, nothing exciting, but you may want to consider him as well. And maybe Luke Musgrove. We're going to see what happens there. He finished 13th amongst tight ends, only 8 points. But the Green Bay Packers do need options with Christian Watson consistently getting hurt. Could be a viable tight end option as well.
How many targets did he get? How many targets?
Only 4, but 3 receptions, 8 points. But again, if I get 10 points out of my tight end, I'm good. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And again, there was only week 1. And that's the thing with these rookies, it's only week 1. Look for some growth for a lot of these rookies as the weeks go on, as they build up more rapport with their teammates.
I hope so. I hope Laporta gets a lot more volume. He deserved it, man. I mean, he looked so good last week. But like I said, Durham Smythe, I'm excited about that guy. You know, I picked up a lot of Cade Otton. I was hoping that Cade Otton would be a bigger part of the offense. He only got 3 targets yesterday. I think I'm just going to dump him on all the teams that I have him on and try to get Durham Smythe. I think Smythe looks great going forward. So that's going to be like my top waiver priority pickup for as far as tight ends are concerned.
But then again, you just have to be a little careful because, again, sometimes they have a good 1 week and then you never see them again. So maybe understand there was injuries with Cooper Kupp, so things shift, moving like that. Even with the team that I really like is the Lions, right? With Jameson Williams being out, maybe things change for Laporta, but he's got time now in that Lions offense to establish that rapport. And he came down with some tough catches where there was one that was out of his range. He kind of brought it in. Laporta looks really good, but also just take a look at these different situations and scenarios. But again, the big, piss off for me was Algier getting all that work. And I looked at the stats, man. When you look at it, I just put it on my story mode, actually, from the attempts point of view. I think it was Christian McCaffrey had, let me pull this up here. I want to be exact with my numbers here. So McCaffrey had 22 attempts. Stick with me, okay? Bijan had 10 attempts. And there was only a difference of around 4 to 5 points in fantasy. So in 10 attempts, Bijan had 20 points. In more than double the attempts, Christian McCaffrey had a 25-point game. So it shows you the ceiling of Bijan if given the extra 15 attempts that Algier stole away. And this is what bothers me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much potential for these guys to break records, man. And yet here we are. We got these pests like Algier coming in, David Montgomery, and Gibbs looked amazing on every run. And even like a guy I'm not even a fan of is Austin Eckler, right? Kelly's in there destroying potential runs from him, taken away from him. This all looks so familiar with the Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb situation from years ago. And then you've got, Kareem, who'd you have? Alvin Kamara and Ingram. It seems like everybody's going this route now. It just really sucks from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, the workhorse RB is like I was saying it over the summer. I'm like, it looks like it's going the way of the dinosaur, man, and it might be dead at this point. So you got to make do with what you got. And the thing is, the Bijan still had a great game. He got like 6 or 7 targets, which is way more than any other receiver got. He got his touchdown. He got 20 fantasy points. I am thrilled with my first round pick gets me 20 fantasy points. That's what you expect.
I want the bag,
that's what he did.
I want the 40 points, though.
And he'll get there. That was his first NFL game. You got to give him a chance to grow and get better, and he will. And I think Bijan's absolutely going to be fantastic all season long.
Yeah, I know.
He looks so good out there. But I said from the beginning, I said this team has enough rushing volume that Algier could still be relevant, and he proved it. Algier is still relevant on that team, and in all the leagues where I picked up Algier, I'm going to be starting him this week. So,
I'm not.
But I still think Bijan's great, and Bijan's going to be the top point getter. So.
All right, there you have it, guys. Waiver Wire, NFL Waiver Wire Week 1 for Fantasy Football 2023. Make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up. Go pick these guys up off the wire if you need them. If not, believe in your starters. Only Week 1. Tons more to go. And make sure you guys tune into my Studs and Suck show, which is coming soon. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. Good luck out there for Week 2, everybody.
Remember, stay sharp on the wire. We're out.